How marvellous that was, ladies and gentlemen. How marvellous to just bump Tumba like that and then to go through such a nice sequence of him hunting. Tumba, Tundi's son. We've come into the area to try and find Tundi. We didn't find any tracks. The area we were following her in this morning was very thick and she didn't seem to come out on the road. Very, very hard going to just go in there and see if we could find her. So Tom called us. He is in the sighting with us right now, and the Nkuhumas had moved from their position this morning where we had them just there by the dam. And so I decided to come and give Tom a hand, and we had some communication on the radio and asked him to check the northern boundary, and he was able to find them lying up probably about 100 yards, maybe 100 meters sort of north, directly north from where we had them this morning. And they are lying flat in the shade. It was a very hot afternoon, so I wasn't concerned that they were going to be too far away. They just would have found a more suitable shaded tree, because the shade they'd chosen this morning wasn't very good. Francis from Israel, yay, the Nkuhumas, you say, indeed. They are all very, very full and they're all struggling to lie on their tummies because their bellies are so full. There hasn't been too much movement, though, since we got here. The youngster was up and suckling again, but other than that, there's been not too much in the way of movement, but it's to be expected of lions on a hot day like this. And I just had a little worry that if we didn't spend some time trying to find them, that we might lose them. But they are going to stay here until it cools down enough for them to start moving. Thanks, Tom. He's moving out now. He's going to go and see if he can have a look at Tumba. Obviously, that very special leopard has a place in his heart, in everybody's hearts. And well done, Scotty, for finding him. Just so happens, that these things happen for a reason. Scott went back to camp for some technical issues. So for all of those you out there who are always worried and upset with the gremlins are the reason Tumba was found today, and they've given you some nice visual of that beautiful cat. Just wish he had a little bit more patience when it came to stalking, but that will come with time. I've seen it with Osana. Osana doesn't have the patience when we've watched him stalk. He just seems to be a little bit too boisterous, and that comes with time. Eventually they get hungry and they learn that being patient is a little bit more in the way of successful for their hunting ability. Beautiful lioness. I don't know who she is. I think it might be the youngster. Hello, Laura. You want to know why the males are never around? The males will only be around really if the females are in estrus and they need to breed. There is a cub in the Pride at the moment, which means that female is out of commission, and the other sub-adults are about 1.5 years, so those other 3 or 2 lionesses are out of commission. And then Amber Eyes was mating, a very peculiar mating it was indeed, and so there seems to be no reason for those males to be hanging around, and they probably are off in another area, spending time with another Pride, demarcating their territories, demarcating sort of their areas, strengthening the bonds amongst the males. They might have found a Pride that is a lot of the females are active and ready for breeding, and so it's much more sort of in their benefit to be there. But I'm sure within the next week or 2 we might see a few more sightings of those boys as they come in and just touch base with these females and make sure everything's going good. There have been a few sub-adult males to the north of us in Buffelshoek the last few days, calling and calling and calling. So I have no doubt that will attract the attention of the Birmingham brothers, and they will probably come into the area and maybe try and sort out those youngsters. So I haven't seen them, but apparently there are 3 sub-adult males that are still building up their confidence. But calling like that is indication that they are confrontational and are willing to maybe challenge one of these boys. But these boys, when we see them, they are big. They are battle-scarred, and they have got very big and impressive manes, and very, very impressive lions as well. I've only seen 2 of them, but at individual times, so I'd love to spend some time with these boys. So while we stay here with the Nkuhumas and the lovely smell that they have left for us, we're going to go over to Taylor McCurdy, who has something very special. Thank you very much, Scotty. How marvellous it is that you're getting such wonderful pictures of Tamba, and I'm glad you got out of the way of the elephants. It always is funny watching elephants chase lion or leopard. And since you have been away, you have not missed much. The lions are still lying down. It is cooling down quite a lot, which is marvellous. And who knows at what stage, with their full bellies of buffalo, they're going to be willing to move. There's a few grunts and groans. It appears to me, excuse me, that the youngest ones in the pride, not the youngest one, but the young sub-adults, have got more meat in their bellies. Or maybe it's just because they're smaller. If we compare the two directly in front of us, this first one is a lioness, adult, and the one sort of directly above her, if I show you with that one over there, see how enlarged her belly is versus the one who's just in front of her. So there's a lot more meat in that belly, or maybe it's just that the belly is smaller, and so it looks a bit more. El Toro, good afternoon. What is the largest pride I have ever seen together? It would be the mountain pride that used to occur in the Singita, Lebombo, Kruger Park area in Kruger National Park. And that was 24 lions when I started. 24, and 9 of them were sub-adult males, 8 of them were sub-adult females, and then the rest were adult females. So a marvelously large pride, and they at one point had split. So I think they were close to 30 before they split, and then the two prides sort of used a very similar sort of pride area, which is quite interesting. But on documentaries, I've seen prides of up to 40, 35, 40 up in Savo in the northern Botswana. And that is incredible to see that amount of lions. And up there, they're known to hunt and take down elephant. So you need lots of lions to do that. Here, the Nkuhuma Pride, with their large numbers of 12, are buffalo experts. And it is really, really awesome, I find, through my guiding experience, to notice how you find lions that are very good at one species and very bad at another. For example, these Nkuhumas are absolute lion specialists, buffalo specialists, and they bring down buffalo quite regularly. They chowed one just to the bone last night. All we found left were some ribs. But then I haven't seen them kill anything other than a impala and zebra, but I don't know what their take is on giraffe in this area. But when we go back to the mountain pride that I spent a lot of time with, they didn't have a lot of buffalo in that area, just a few buffalo bulls. And when the buffalo did come in, they had no idea what to do. They would just chase the herd up and down, up and down. We never saw them kill a buffalo in a herd. They did kill a buffalo or two, some of the bulls, but when it came to buffalo herds, they had absolutely no idea how to select out individuals. But then that pride were absolute specialists at bringing down the large and very tall giraffe, which we saw on many, many occasions. So it's almost as if they develop certain skills, and because they see so many of those animals, there were lots of giraffe there. That environment there was very, very, very suitable for giraffe. And so they was just obviously more frequently hunted them, and they developed their skills and honed it down. They were even very good at taking down the adult males. So, and that is quite a feat. But yet, as I said, buffaloes seemed like it was beyond their skill. So I'm sure we've seen cases of that all over the place, that prides will sort of specialize in a certain type of animal. But obviously, when you've got animals like impala around, they are for everyone's diet and everyone's palate, and they're very nice buffer species. I wonder if you've heard the term buffer species before. Buffer species is basically an animal that fulfills the food specialist or the food range for a wide range of animals, and because they're quite common, they're selected for. So the buffer species being impala, a lot of other animals that are now more rare and endangered, like sable and roan and sesame, their numbers have decreased. So by having lots of impala around, it's very good, because the lions will obviously focus more of their attention on those and not on the sable, which are rare and endangered at the moment. So it is working. Mina would like to know why the lions are all so close together. They are a pride, and they sort of, wherever one moves, the rest will follow. So, and also, this is the tallest tree around, and so they will lie together in the shade. There will be a lot of grooming, a lot of licking and cleaning of each other, And that happens obviously when they're very close to each other. And just because of the family bond, there's a lot of youngsters here. So the youngsters feel quite an attachment to the adults. And so obviously try and stay quite close. As soon as one moves, they all seem to get up and follow. And that's probably what happened from where we left them this morning. They were lying up just next to the dam. And one would have moved probably for a little bit of shade, or who knows why they moved, probably the shade. And then the rest would have come and just slumped down in the best shade closest to the individual as possible. Oh, how marvelous. I just saw a crowned or a trumpeter hornbill just flew over there. I didn't know you got trumpeter here. I think it was a trumpeter. I'm going to show you a picture because that is very special. I wonder if any of the viewers have seen a trumpeter hornbill in this area. I only got a very brief look at it. It could have been crowned, but I think by the size of the cask on there, that it, my opinion, was a trumpeter. But I didn't get my binocs on it for very long. Let's have a look. Oh, you can hear it calling. It sounds like a baby calling. I will play it for you as soon as I find it. Did you hear it? Fantastic. Fantastic. Now, when I talk about the cask, see, it's got a very white belly, very similar to that of the crowned. Let's just listen. I can still hear it calling. Okay, I might have to play it for you. See how big the cask is on the top of the beak there, and there's another picture of it. How's that? Did that give a few of you a fright? The lions almost didn't budge. One budged. They also haven't heard trumpeters in the area before. How marvellous is that? That's a new species for me for the Djuma area. They do frequent more sort of large trees along perennial rivers. Let's have a look. Mainly lowland forest. Favours riparian woodland. So riparian woodland would mean forest along very, very wet or permanent rivers. So I've never seen one in this area. That is marvellous. Apparently Jamie has heard one in the area before. So fantastic. For those of you who have not seen one, tick that on your list. And we're going to stay here with the Nkuhumas, maybe get another position, but they're not going anywhere. Let's go over to Taylor and Tingana. Thanks, Scotty. I really do hope that Tatamba gets up and has a move. And likewise with these individuals, they're slowly starting to do certain ablutions in the form of grooming themselves, a little bit of licking and rubbing of the face, which is very characteristic of the cats. I've seen Dave do it from time to time as well. It is quite comical. So at least 3 of them have got their heads up and are kind of getting into the mood of things, and the temperature has dropped considerably from about 2 hours ago. It's been a marvellous game drive in that as soon as we went out, the temperature dropped. It was 36 degrees Celsius, 95 degrees Fahrenheit, about 20 minutes before we went on drive. So we all bulked up on water and got prepared for a warm afternoon. As I said, we put on the roofs in case of rain. Oh, there we go. The temperatures drops to 32 degrees Celsius and 89 Fahrenheit. I'm not sure how accurate that is because it actually feels a lot nicer. It might also be this really cool breeze that's picked up and coming from the west. It's probably got some rain on it. And beautiful. Going to be an absolutely gorgeous sunset. So we're going to spend some time with these lions and then maybe make a plan to be somewhere where we can get a really good look at the setting sun. Because with the clouds in the sky, it is marvellous. Paula, I don't know if lions dream, but have you ever watched a dog lying down at home and he starts running and kind of, there's a dream going on of him chasing a squirrel or who knows. I've never seen lions do that. I've only seen it in dogs, but it's possible. I mean, what goes on in that mind when they are sleeping? Are they thinking of buffalo or thinking about kudu or veal, or they're thinking about a good-looking Birmingham boy? Who knows what's going on? But it's very hard to understand. But I was explaining to Dave that I don't think lions are intelligent. They are very instinctive. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with not being intelligent. If instinct drives their behavior. And I say that because if you were watching this morning, you're watching, and we had those two youngsters sitting by the dam, and that big elephant bull came down to drink. The youngsters ran away. I mean, the elephant was on the other side of a dam. I'm talking 40-odd yards of open water. There's no chance it could have got across. The lions moved away instinctively. Now, elephants practice and they exhibit huge amounts of intelligence. If we did the same thing with elephants on the other side of a dam, they wouldn't flinch because they know that that open body of water is protection. I've snuck up on an elephant bull. It took me about half an hour. I got closer and closer and closer. He knew I was there, and all there was between us was a little sort of gully, sort of drainage depression of about 2 meters or so. But he knew that there was a barrier and we couldn't get to him. But a lion, if it sees me on foot on a mountain or anywhere, it kind of freaks out and moves away. Instinctively, it has a fear of certain things. And so I don't think that when I say lack of intelligence, there's a lot of instinct, which is their intelligence. It's learned. They don't learn as much as other animals do, but that instinct is what keeps them going. And is what makes lions and leopards and all of the dynamics that they exhibit so easy to understand, and also that each pride that I've witnessed exhibits very similar behavior in everything that they do. Oh, she just sneezed. Oh, she is such a polite lady. She has moved off a little bit from the pride, and she is now having a large toilet stop. Rebecca, who is Queen Bee? Okay, so the individual you're looking at now, I think is, I don't know, is that Amber Eyes? I'm really not good at identifying these lions yet. It looks like it might be Amber Eyes. But essentially, you don't get a queen in a lion pride. You get a group of lionesses that sort of run the show, and they lead. And the more experience they have, the rest of the pride kind of defers to them. When they get up and move, the rest of the pride sort of follows. And so the lowest in the pride would be the cubs, and then moving up from the sub-adults. But they all play a very important role. They're all related. They're all doing what they do for the survival of their genetics and the survival of their family. But there's no, it's not a matriarchal society, but it's led by the adult lionesses. So I hope that answers your question. But they defer to each other. There's no real dominance in females. You might see that in males, where there will be a certain bit of a hierarchy between them. But if a male comes into a group, say 2 males of the Birmingham arrived here, and the one female was an estrus, the first male, regardless of how their dynamics is between the two of them, the first male that sort of gets that lady will be the one who is allowed to do all of the necessary business. And if the males did come in here, you would see them dominate the females completely at feeding time. So there's a different story altogether. Okay, so from our sleeping Nkuhuma lions with the beautiful cat stretch that's about to happen. Look at the stretch. Oh, is he going to stretch? No, he's not going to stretch. He's going to move. We're going to go over to Scott Dyson with that beautiful young male leopard, Tamba. Yes, we've come back to the place, and they all, one by one, have moved, because one came and lay in the road. And I think there was a question earlier, I'm trying to remember who the question was, why do they like to lie together? And I think they have a little bit of FOMO, which is fear of missing out. As one came and lay in the road, all of them got up one by one and came and lay with them in the road. Mina, that was your question. So I think it's got a lot to do with the adult lionesses are very in tune with each other's movements. So one will get up and move, and then the other one will come and sit quite close to her, and then all the cubs and sub-adults will all follow and basically just lie very, very close so that they don't lose mum. Because they don't really have too much audio communication when they move away. They just get up and move, and if an individual doesn't follow, it gets left behind and it could go hungry. So they learn very quickly that if they don't follow the lionesses, then it could be a very lonely and miserable night for them, all on their own. Who would like to go and scratch the belly of that other one? Bless you, madam. Who would like to go scratch that belly? Oh, here comes another one of the youngsters from the side. So it's getting to that time of day with the sun setting that they're starting to get active. And I wonder if they're going to do some of their playing like they did the other day. Paula wants to know if one of the lions will stay awake or alert while the rest sleep. Paula, no, that's a negative. They are all very alert. So they will basically lie just like they are now. And if anything happens nearby, they'll all prick their heads up and do something about it. They are very alert all the time. I made the mention the other day of domestic cats. Pay attention to your cat that sits there fast asleep on the couch, but as soon as something happens that attracts his attention, that cat is up and mobile and attacking or catching or doing whatever it might be that it needs to do. And lions are exactly the same. So are leopards. They are constantly alert. Only when they are completely flat and extremely full with buffalo are they... Ooh, that is probably Amber Eyes. She doesn't like the love and attention from the others. So as soon as something, when they're extremely fat and full, then they don't need to worry about anything really. The only thing that poses a threat to lions is big male lions and maybe another pride. And if a pride knows that they are in their pride territory, then there's no real issue, nothing to concern them. Dave, I don't know if you can get it over there. That little youngster is on the tree again. We got him. We saw this individual before, busy scratching that tree and having a little bit of a stretch. Definitely the character in the pride with the most amount of energy. This little youngster. Here she comes. Lots of character in her face. First Lady wants to know if the stripe or spot underneath a lion's eye has got a purpose, and it has got a similar purpose to what American football players do. They put that black underneath their eye, and it apparently helps to either reflect the light or to take the light away. So with the white, what the white underneath is actually doing is it allows a little bit more reflection with light. I'm not sure if it works, but you see with cheetah that are more of a diurnal animal, they've got that black stripe underneath the eye, and that's apparently supposed to take away a bit of the glare that might come down on their eyes while they're stalking or running in the heat of the sun. So I can only assume that the white lion has got the opposite effect for more of a nocturnal view. So as we know, lions have got very, very good nocturnal vision. Is that a Shelley's Franklin calling behind there? I now hear a Natal Franklin calling. Never heard a Shelley's before, and I think I might have just heard one. Let's play it. This is how we learn. Nice to have the app. Let's have a listen, see if this is what I heard. There it is. How marvelous is that? I'll drink beer. I'll drink your beer. I'll drink your beer. I'll drink your beer. So, can you hear that? I'll drink your beer. I'll drink your beer. I'll drink your beer. Here is the Shelley's Franklin. Very nice white throat patch. And I did see one the other day, but I've never heard it call. I've never identified its call before. That's marvellous. Well done. Okay, so while we stay here with these flat cats, let's go over to Taylor, who herself has a very flat tingana. Yes, thanks very much, Scotty. The lions have got their heads down. They're doing something that those of you in the army will know, or have been in the army, is you rest when you can. And when it comes to the lions, that is often. But you never know. I mean, I had a few friends who were in the army, and they said that you eat and sleep whenever you have the opportunity. And that's what these lions are doing. Ellie, age 7, good afternoon, good evening. How are you doing? You'd like to know, why do the lions sleep in the day? Well, first of all, it is very hot in the daytime, and they want to save a lot of energy. We move around in the daytime because we can see, and so that for us is advantageous because we are safe in the daytime. Lions, it's very hot. When they're full of buffalo or full of meat, or even if they're not full, it's very hot. They want to save the energy, and they'll sleep in the day to rest, to expend as little energy as possible, because as soon as the temperatures get cool and the evening comes, their nocturnal vision becomes very, very good, just like the infrared we saw a moment ago when we look at the lions. They can kind of see in that spectrum and they can see animals out there, and they can hunt very efficiently at night. So this is very typical of lions to be like this, but as soon as one starts moving, they can't help themselves. They all get up and start moving. There you can see we're in infrared again. But lions sleep for about 20 hours a day, maybe 18, maybe 19, depending on the day. So it's not just in the day that they sleep. They actually spend a lot of time at night also sleeping, because once they make a kill and they get lots of meat in their belly, there's no need for them to do anything else. They don't have to go to the shops. They don't have to go to the bank. They don't have to pay tax. They don't have a job. They don't have to take their kids to school. So they just move and sleep, hunt and sleep, drink some water and sleep. And that order can change, but invariably there's lots of sleep involved. Sean, that's a very interesting question. Why have feline predators evolved to be bigger than canines? Well, wolves are pretty big, I think, in comparison to wild dogs. They're quite large, but that might have to do with the temperature in the areas that they come from. Tigers are probably the biggest cats in the world, and they've evolved to be bigger because of the prey species that they feed on. Leopards, for example, here in the Kruger National Park, get up to about maximum, the males, about 90-something kilograms, about 180, 190 pounds. But down in the Cape, probably about 1,000 kilometers from where we are, 1,200 kilometers, what's that, about 500, 600 miles. There are leopards down there called the Cape leopard, which is exactly the same species as the leopards up here, and they get up to maximum of about 40 kilograms. So the size is half that of the leopards nearby, and a lot of that has got to do with the fact that they feed on smaller prey, klipspringer and probably some bush pig, and their prey species down there is very, very small in comparison, so they've evolved to be smaller. Leopards up here, the savanna opened up, and they're living in more open environments. Lions as well, more open environments, and the herbivores that are out here that they feed on and specialize in are much, much bigger. But the lion got to as big as it can to support its sort of weight in this environment with regards to energy expenditure and heat. And then instead of getting bigger than that, they decided to join up into groups, into prides. And now as a pride, they can take down much larger animals than they could individually. So that in a nutshell is, I possibly think, the reason why lions have gotten so big. But why wild dogs haven't gotten any bigger is because the prey species that they feed on primarily is something like an impala. They're quite small, they're not very big, and they don't need to be any bigger to pull down an impala. So obviously the herbivores that are bigger than that invariably get left alone by the wild dog, but wild dog will take animals as large as kudu, which is a very, very big animal, but they don't need the size. They need fitness and stamina, and if you're big and bulky, it's very hard to run for a long period of time. And so wild dogs are able to run very, very far. For example, if you watch these marathon runners, they're quite skinny, and sort of the weight on these people is very, very small in comparison to someone who does, for example, heavy weightlifting. Now, the weightlifter would probably be able to chase someone about 20 meters, and if he caught him, he would pull him down quite easily. But the marathon runner will be able to chase anyone as far as they need to, and then if they need to bring them out, they will, because the person's tired. I hope that answers your question, but we're going to go over to Taylor quickly, because Tingana's up and mobile. Thanks very much, Taylor. Yes, we were also being chowed by bugs, as you say, just before on the last segment. Mosquitoes are enjoying the tenderness of our ankles. We were not being chowed by lions. They are lying very flat. You can see there's not much of a breeze. The grass there just moving a little bit in the wind, but not much of a breeze whatsoever. It's a glorious night. It's going to be pitch black. The moon will be up very, very late. Hello, Scarlett. You'd like to know if I prefer lions or leopards. Scarlett, you know, before coming to Safari Live, I had spent a lot of time with lions back in the past, and I really enjoy hanging out with lions, especially lions that are moving. The other day, the evening with David, we were out with the Nkuhumas and they were playing. That for me was magical. I haven't spent time with lions like that in some time, but being here at Djuma has been very special with the leopards. I can't say I prefer this one or that one. Obviously, spending time with Thandi and her cub when she's playing is unbelievable. Or when any of the cats are doing something, it's very special. Like following Thandi today was very, very special to do. Lions and leopards, it's just a whole different ball game. I love both of them. I love spending time with both of them. But historically, I've got way more experience with lions than with leopards. So I'm really enjoying the opportunity here, spending time with the leopards of Djuma. And we don't get to spend enough time with Nkuhumas on the property because they keep moving out. As we sit here, we're only about maybe 50, 60 yards from our northern boundary, which is behind us. So who knows what these lions are going to do? Are they going to be here in the same place when we come back tomorrow morning? I doubt it. They're definitely going to get up and have a move. But while they wait, they all, as I said, are in the army, so they all rest and sleep as much as they can until someone makes a move. And as soon as the general sits up and starts moving, they all reluctantly get up and start following, so as not to be left behind. Wonderful. A ball of fur in the road. And with the IR, it is really cool how we can see them, because right now they're in front of our vehicle, and without the IR, it is invisible. They are, have a look. Have a look without the IR. Dave is going to, there we go. That is what we are looking at right now. If it was not for the IR, I would be sitting here blind, wondering if the lions had already moved away, which has happened to me before in the past. I've spent time with lions. I was out doing work in the Kruger Park, and I had a little bit of a siesta on my chair, and when I woke up, the lions, 24 of them, had disappeared. And it is quite a daunting feeling when you're in a vehicle like this that's got no roof and no doors to wonder, did they come and have a smell? Did they have a look at me? Did they jump on the door? Oh, there we go. There's some movement, folks. One of the leading lionesses got her head up. Is it going to last long? It's possibly picked up on some movement off to our left-hand side. No one else seems to have stirred, though. She stares into the darkness. Yes, Michelle, it is very dark out here. And that lion is staring deep into the depths of the darkness. And if it could see something, it would actually be able to see it. Whereas that's why we are not creatures of the night. And we are here with the Nkuhumas, one lioness looking in the darkness. If anything changes, we'll come straight back here. But I believe that little prince, or that little Tumba with Scotty D, is up and mobile. Let's go have a look.